months after High School Musical, the musical, the series aired, I decided to give it a rewatch. I was hooked then, so I'll be hooked now, right? Right, except no, not right. How do I put this? You know how scared you get when you watch a horror movie? Your jaw clenches, your posture tightens, you're sitting on the edge of your seat in white-knuckled fear, dreading the next jump scare? And then you rewatch it. You remember it being horrifying, but now that you know where all the scary parts are, it's not so scary. Yeah, that long-winded analogy is basically what rewatching High School Musical, the series was like, which we'll now refer to as HSM the series, because I am not saying that again. So what's the problem with HSM the series, and how does it relate to Season 2? Let's talk about it. This series is very romance-heavy. Now, that's not necessarily a bad thing, but the problem is that the show lacks any real substance outside of the romance. Yes, we have subplots and other overarching stories, but none of them really outshine the relationships or feel anywhere as memorable. Another issue is the underdeveloped relationships throughout the show. We ran between 5 different relationships in Season 1 alone, possibly 6 if you count the EJ and Gina setup in the finale, but that scene is subjective, so take it as you will. But I want to break down each of these relationships, starting with Carlos and Seb. My big problem with this ship is that going into this, we hardly know anything about Carlos as it is. We know he's a choreographer and that he's tight with Miss Jen. That's the gist. And then the show introduces Seb, another person we barely know. I know he lives on a farm. That's it. And if you think that we'll at least get some build up to their relationship or chemistry-charged scenes between them before they get together, yeah, no, that doesn't happen. In fact, even when they start dating, we never get to know them as a couple. It is great to have representation, but isn't it better to have representation from deep characters with deep connections? Ashlyn and Big Red fall into a similar rhythm as Carlos and Seb. We've only touched the surface level with them, both as a couple and as individuals. Their interest in each other feels a little out of the blue. It spawns from Big Red and Ashlyn constantly complimenting each other, which evolves into a romance. Then they full-on make out in an end credit scene. It's not inherently bad, just not that interesting to watch compared to everything else going on. Speaking of everything else going on, yeah, this ship was doomed from the start. The thing is, from the beginning we knew they wouldn't last. As the relationship went on, EJ became a worse and worse boyfriend to Nini. I just wish we got a glimpse into what Nini saw in him. We got a taste of it in that camp flashback, but outside of that, everything felt so artificial, which I guess is the whole point of EJ's character, but it didn't work in favor of the story. Nobody was torn up over Nini dumping EJ. I'm pretty sure we all cheered. My guess is that the sole purpose of EJ and Nini's relationship was to clickbait the audience into thinking he was part of the love triangle, cause once the ship served the purpose of getting Ricky to audition for the play, it sank. So hard. Given more time, I think I would have liked this ship more. It's more developed than the ships I previously talked about, but it definitely suffered due to a lack of screen time. At first it fell out of left field, with Ricky suddenly being interested after a kiss on the cheek, but they made up for it by actually having them get to know each other. Plus we learned more about Gina as a character, which actually added a compelling layer to the show, so the foundation was there. But the fall of this ship wasn't handled as nicely. Look, I'm a Rini shipper, but even I know that Gina deserved better closure in the finale. We kinda just see Ricky blow her off. Like, yeah, their interest in each other went unsaid for most of the season, so he doesn't owe her an explanation, but at the same time, it didn't feel right. I don't know, I felt like this ship deserved a better ending and Gina deserved better, period. In my opinion, this ship was the most developed and consistent. We saw them grow from point A to point B, and they got a bulk of the screen time. Oh, did I mention they got the bulk of the screen time? This isn't a complaint solely for Ricky and Nini, but the relationship drama in general. It just happens that most of the relationship drama is tied to these two and their relationships with other people. As much as I love Ricky and Nini together, they're the only thing I looked forward to upon rewatching. That's not a good thing. The romances in HSM the series really oversaturate the story to the point where I skipped entire episodes the second time I rewatched. I didn't care about EJ being unpopular or Courtney's rivalry with an unforgettable costume designer, and it's not a coincidence that the conflicts I just mentioned don't involve them interacting with on-screen characters. During EJ's arc, Carlos and Gina are barely involved, and Nini exits his story once they break up. Courtney's entire conflict centers around a girl that we, the audience, have never met. Sure, she has that episode about her singing, but it's only there to accomplish two things. One, establish that she can sing, and two, propel Nini's storyline forward that involves the performing arts school. The two standout subplots were Ricky's parents and Gina moving, and even those were still used to feed into the show's romantic aspect. HSM the series has a giant cast, 4 main characters, 8 side characters, and 2 more slated for season 2. Now, with all the romance going on, we've barely gotten to know the existing characters. For some, we don't even know them outside of their own relationships. This feeds back to a problem I mentioned earlier. I'm not engaged in a ship when I don't even know the characters. A good story needs characters that you can care about and relate to. Without that extra substance, we have nothing. Something that Julie in the Phantoms does really well is play with character dynamics and personalities. I know that Alex plays drums to help with his anxiety. I know that Julie sings to feel in touch with her mom. I know that Luke keeps secrets because he doesn't want to hurt anyone. All of these little traits and quirks help me understand the why behind their actions. I don't have that same connection to HSM the series, and with even more characters on Season 2's roster, I don't know if we'll have enough time with the original cast. Since HSM the series leans so heavily on romance in Season 1, I'm worried now that the main conflict has been resolved. I really hope they won't throw in forced drama with Ricky and Nini and instead focus on the underdeveloped relationships. And as much as I love Ben Feldman, I'm worried that the 2 new characters will lead to less development for characters like Courtney or Ashlyn. Ideally, I'd like to shift gears from Ricky and Nini to hone in on others. And this is unrelated, but I hope we see different characters take the leads as Belle and Beast in the new musical. Now, I know I spent the majority of this video airing out my complaints, but I genuinely enjoy HSM the series, and I want to see them succeed. I just hope that Season 2 corrects my issues with Season 1 and digs deeper into other characters. We'll find out soon. Anyways, thanks for watching. This is Janelle of Oz signing off, but before you walk the yellow brick road home, be sure to click 3 times. Like, subscribe, notification bell.